She was just a girl with a guitar and a dream, standing on stages that nobody noticed, singing songs that nobody heard, pouring her heart into melodies that vanished into empty rooms. But somewhere deep inside that small-town teenager burned a fire so fierce, so relentless, that it would one day light up the entire world. This is the story of a young dreamer who refused to let rejection define her, who turned heartbreak into poetry, who transformed pain into power, and who built an empire note by note, word by word, album by album. From the Christmas tree farm in Pennsylvania to the biggest stages on planet Earth. From the girl nobody believed in to the woman who rewrote every rule in the music industry. This is the complete journey of how Taylor Allison Swift became not just a superstar but a cultural phenomenon that changed music forever. Taylor Allison Swift was born on December 13th, 1989 in Reading, Pennsylvania, on an 11-acre Christmas tree farm in Wyomissing. Her parents, Scott and Andrea Swift, created a warm family environment where creativity could flourish alongside her younger brother Austin. From the very beginning, Taylor showed signs of being different from other children, displaying an unusual fascination with words, stories, and music that seemed to come from somewhere deeper than just childhood curiosity. She would spend hours alone, creating elaborate worlds in her mind, writing little stories and poems, and singing songs she made up on the spot. The Christmas Tree Farm became her personal kingdom where imagination had no limits and dreams felt possible, where a little girl could pretend to be anything she wanted to be, never knowing that one day the whole world would be watching. When Taylor was 9 years old, she discovered her passion for performing through musical theater, appearing in local productions, before falling completely in love with country music after attending a Faith Hill concert. She learned guitar from a computer repairman, and at just 11 years old made a demo tape and convinced her mother to drive her to Nashville, where she walked down Music Row knocking on every record label door she could find. But Nashville wasn't ready for an 11-year-old girl with big dreams, and every single label turned her away, telling her she was too young, too inexperienced, too different from what country music needed. Most children would have given up right there, crushed by rejection. But Taylor Swift was not like most children. The rejection only made her more determined, more focused, more absolutely certain that she would prove them all wrong. When Taylor was 13, her entire family moved to Hendersonville, Tennessee, so she could pursue her music dreams, an enormous sacrifice that showed how deeply her parents believed in her talent. In Nashville, Taylor faced new challenges at Hendersonville, high school where other teenagers excluded her, whispered behind her back, and made her feel like an outsider. The loneliness was crushing, but Taylor channeled every bit of that hurt into her songwriting, turning her tears into lyrics, her heartbreak into melodies, her pain into the very songs that would eventually make her famous. She performed at every venue that would let her on stage, from tiny coffee shops to small festivals, building her skills, performance by performance. Everything changed one night at the Bluebird Cafe when Scott Borchetta, who was starting a new record label called Big Machine Records, heard her perform and immediately signed her as his first artist. It was the moment Taylor had dreamed about for years, the validation she had fought so hard to achieve, the beginning of everything she had sacrificed so much to reach. In October of 2006, Taylor released her self-titled debut album featuring songs like Tim, McGraw, and Teardrops on My Guitar that spoke directly to teenage experiences with raw honesty that resonated deeply with young listeners everywhere. The album climbed to number 5 on the Billboard 200 and sold over 5 million copies, establishing Taylor as a rising star in country music. But it was her second album, Fearless, released in November 2008 that transformed her into a global phenomenon. With massive hits like Love Story and You Belong With Me, the album transcended genre boundaries, sold over 10 million copies worldwide, and won Album of the Year at the Grammy Awards, making 19-year-old Taylor Swift the youngest artist ever to win that prestigious award. Success brought new pressures, as media scrutinized her dating life and created narratives about her writing revenge songs, about ex-boyfriends, criticism that hurt but didn't stop her momentum. On September 13, 2009, Taylor experienced one of the most humiliating moments of her life when Kanye West stormed onto the MTV Video Music Awards stage during her acceptance speech, grabbed the microphone, and declared that Beyoncé should have won instead. The incident became one of the most talked about moments in pop culture history, leaving Taylor devastated and embarrassed in front of millions of viewers. But she refused to let the moment destroy her, using the experience as fuel to work even harder. In October 2010, she released Speak Now, an album she wrote entirely by herself without any co-writers to prove she was a legitimate songwriter. The album debuted at #1 with over 1 million copies sold in its first week, featuring songs like Mean that addressed her critics directly. In October 2014, Taylor made the boldest move of her career, releasing 1989, an album that completely abandoned country music and embraced full pop production. It was a risky decision that could have ended her career, but Taylor had spent years studying pop music and working with the best producers in the world. Shake It Off, Blank Space, Bad Blood, and Style all became massive hits, proving Taylor could succeed in any genre she chose. The album sold over 1 million copies in its first week, eventually moving over 10 million copies worldwide and winning Album of the Year at the Grammys, making Taylor the first woman ever to win that award twice. The 1989 World Tour became one of the highest-grossing tours of all time, with Taylor at the absolute peak of her cultural influence and commercial success. In July 2016, Kim Kardashian released Secretly, recorded phone conversations that made Taylor appear to have lied about, approving controversial lyrics in Kanye West's song Famous. The internet erupted with hatred, posting snake emojis on her social media, calling her fake and manipulative, canceling her seemingly overnight. For someone who had built her brand on authenticity and connection, the public cancellation was absolutely devastating. Taylor disappeared from public life for nearly a year, struggling with depression and anxiety, questioning if her career was over. But during that darkness, she was writing and preparing a response that would shock everyone. In November 2017, she released Reputation, a darker, edgier album that reclaimed the snake, Symbol, and addressed her cancellation directly. Look What You Made Me Do topped charts worldwide. The album sold over 1 million copies in its first week, and the Reputation Stadium Tour became the highest-grossing tour in United States history, proving Taylor Swift couldn't be canceled. In August 2019, Taylor released Lover, a romantic, optimistic album that felt like sunshine after the storm of Reputation. But behind the scenes, she was fighting a battle over ownership of her master recordings after her former label was sold to Scooter Braun, someone she considered an enemy. Unable to purchase her masters, Taylor made the unprecedented decision to re-record her first 6 albums, creating new versions she would own, a bold strategy most experts thought would fail. In July 2020, during the pandemic, Taylor surprised the world with Folklore, an indie folk album recorded in secret that showcased mature storytelling and received universal critical acclaim. 5 months later, she released Evermore, a sister album that continued the folk sound. Folklore won Album of the Year at the Grammys, making Taylor the first woman to win that award 3 times. In April 2021, Taylor released Fearless, Taylor's version, the first re-recorded album, and fans embraced it overwhelmingly, proving her strategy worked perfectly. She followed with Red, Taylor's version in November, which included a 10-minute version of All Too Well that became a cultural phenomenon and broke streaming records. The re-recording project became a masterclass in how artists can fight unfair industry practices, turning pain into empowerment. In October 2022, Taylor released Midnights, which broke streaming records with all 13 tracks, occupying the entire top 13 of the Billboard Hot 100, a feat no artist had ever accomplished. She announced the Eras Tour, a massive concert series celebrating her entire catalog that became a global cultural phenomenon, dominating news cycles and having measurable economic impact on every city it visited. The tour generated the term Swiftonomics, and the concert film became the highest-grossing concert film of all time. Taylor Swift's story is not just about music sales, chart records, or sold-out stadiums, though she has achieved all of those in numbers few artists ever reach. Her legacy is about changing the relationship between artists and fans, fighting for artist rights and fair treatment, evolving across genres without being trapped in any single sound, and demonstrating resilience by coming back stronger after public humiliation and cancellation.